I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to tonight's regular scheduled Becker School Board meeting. Being the first meeting of the year, this will be our organizational meeting. At this time, we'd like to congratulate the board members who have won the election and welcome to another 4-year term. So I will now call for the nominations for the chair, the vice chair, the clerk, and the treasurer. We will begin with nominations for the chair. Do we have any nominations?
I'll nominate Aaron.
I'll second.
Do we have any other nominations? Are there any further nominations? All right, so since there is only one nomination, I will remain as the chair. And then at this time, we'll move to vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Connie Robinson.
I'll second.
Do we have any further nominations? Any more nominations? Seeing as there's only one nomination, Connie Robinson will be the vice chair moving forward. So congratulations, Connie. At this time, we will entertain nominations for clerk. Do we have any nominations for clerk?
I can nominate Pete Wiseman for clerk.
Second.
We don't need a second, actually. Just one nomination.
Just one nomination. Do we have any more nominations for clerk? Any more nominations? All right, seeing that there's only one nomination, Pete, you will be assigned the clerk for the next year. Congratulations. Then we will look for nominations for treasurer.
Can nominate Ryan Hubbard for treasurer.
Do we have any further nominations? Any further nominations? Where'd he go? Is he up there? Okay.
This kind of looked like he's sitting.
All right, seeing that Ryan is the only nomination for treasurer, Ryan will continue the role for the following year. So congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Oh, there's the voice. So, all righty, that moves us on to item 1E, the approval of the agenda. We have a motion for approval of agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or discussions about the agenda as listed? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Moves on to item 2, reports. And we'll start with student report.
In the past month, boys hockey is just about in their mid-season. The record is 2-8-1. They've had one tournament up in Fergus Falls over the holiday break. Girls basketball is currently 3-7 with a tough start to their season. They've been playing really tough out-of-conference teams. They did, however, just have a big win against the Rockridge team on Saturday. The gymnastics team has had 5 meets so far, 2 of those being conference meets. They are undefeated in the conference and are currently ranked 4th in Class A. The robotics team officially kicked off their season last Saturday by hosting a game reveal event here at Becker High School. They will be in the shop and library working on the robot and judging materials every day and after school every Saturday. Archery hasn't had any tournaments yet this year, but their first one is in Foley on the 24th and 25th. GSA has recently gained more members. The most people so far this year showed up at the last meeting for the GSA Christmas party, where everyone got to share what they were most excited for in the coming holiday. Student council decorated the hallways for the holidays and planned some fun dress-up days for the high school. The girls' hockey team record is 4-11. NHS is in their slower time of the season, but they plan on picking up the pace with more individual service projects. Before break, NHS exchanged gifts during a Secret Santa and were able to enjoy the last meeting before winter break. And Yearbook hosted their Christmas party in the library before break. The members had a great time playing games and winning prizes.
So in the upcoming month, boys hockey has their next game against Monticello on January 7th in Princeton. Girls basketball will hopefully keep pushing in the right direction to get some more wins. This week, gymnastics plans on traveling to Chisago Lakes for their third conference meet. They're excited for January as it is filled with tough competitions all month. Robotics has their first competition in 3 weeks, which is earlier than last year. The next 2 months will be a time crunch before their Duluth Regional on February 18th. For the Foley tournament, archery has the choice to shoot 3D, bullseye, or both at this and many other tournaments. Kids can choose from a bunch of different practice times over a 4-day period to prepare for this tournament. GSA has also been more directly addressing issues in school and had a meeting with Kreft and Balloon where they were able to share their thoughts and feelings about the student handbook. Student Council will be meeting tomorrow to start making plans for Snow Days Pep Fest and the Winter Dance. The executive board is struggling with member participation and trying to come up with ways to motivate students to get involved with the Student Council. DECA is preparing for their District 5 competition with practice every Monday and Thursday. Speech is preparing for their first competition this Saturday, January 11th. This month, girls hockey is hosting the Hockey Fights Cancer Game with hopes of raising money for cancer research. NHS is hosting their second blood drive on January 17th and are hoping for more volunteers and participation. They're also looking for students who would like to be on the MAHS State Board as a Becker representative. Yearbook is in their crunch time with the second deadline coming up in the next month. They've been taking photos for the sports and activities pages. Wrestling has their first home meet against Foley for most likely the #1 seed in the section. They also travel to Monticello for a conference match against Monticello, Chisago Lakes, and North Branch. They finished the week on Saturday in St. Cloud against some tough teams. Any questions?
The Foley match for wrestling's on Thursday.
Yeah.
We have full match for next 4 weeks.
Moving on to item 2B, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I've attached the first Monday in January meeting, dates with restrictions around there. We'll talk more about that later on in the agenda, but that's on there if you want to reference that. We'll be getting assessment season soon, beginning in March and going through May with some of the bigger assessments. We have assessments that take place all year long, but these are the MCA tests that come out, and you can see the calendar that's located there that was published. That has to be published earlier in the year by statute, so you can see that. Legislative items, if you'd like to discuss any for our February meeting, let me know. We'll have MSBA's platform that was provided by the delegate assembly by that meeting as well. Also, if you'd like to attend MSBA MASA Day at the Capitol, it's scheduled for March 10th, 2025. I'll attend that as well. But if anyone wants to join me with that, they can. And then resource training and solutions. I think I forwarded an email about this, but seeking nominations for the board of directors. They currently have 3 open seats. The terms for these positions is April 2025 through March 2029. Meetings are held every 3rd Tuesday of each month, beginning at noon. And nominations for that are due January 31st. You can self-nominate as well for that. And there's more information in this attachment too. So that's all I have.
Any questions? Thank you, Jeremy. Moving on to item number 3, appointment of committees and representations. If you look there, there's the current or last year's roles that we played in our committees. And before we dive into it all, I guess, just start by asking, is there anybody who would like to or who wants to switch? This is always the biggest time crunch of the whole meeting, is figuring out where assignments are. Everybody's happy with their current assignments?
Yeah.
I guess my only question was, in the couple of them working as, if there's just one member, do we need more than one member for a couple committees, or are we good with one? I'll be like Troy, for example, you're on the calendar committee. Notice if we had a lot of meetings for that, is that,
It's
are we good
usually,
with one?
It's like
or-
one meeting a year.
it's
if that.
usually one meeting and
Some
there's
Survey.
Yep,
probably
Okay.
15 people total there, so I think one board member is probably suffice.
For,
So,
for your question, Corey, the only one that we used to have two on was the finance one. And I think we talked about it last year at this table as well, but that's the only one we've had more than one that
more than, okay.
doesn't have more than one now.
And we have probably 5 a year. It's not really every month.
so if nobody wants to change or there's no changes, then we'll just move forward with what our current assignments are.
Sounds good.
That moves us on to item 4, consent agenda. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Do we have any questions or discussions about the consent agenda as listed before us? We have everything
The
on there.
Dates are good. Just want to make sure. on the-
School board dates?
Yeah,
Yeah,
school board dates.
They look good.
The November one, just because we don't wanna have a double one again?
Yeah, it's in that 3 to 10 day window after the election on, I think the election date is November 6th, if we happen to have an election at that time. So.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as written before us. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item 5, a resolution for accepting donations.
I'll make a motion to accept the donations in front of us.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to accept the donations. Do we have any questions or discussions?
I guess, just to say thank you again. Like we do every meeting, never ceases to amaze me.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. 2025 committee meeting dates, those are just there for your references, or your reference. And I guess, like I say every year, if you happen to have a meeting you can't make, feel free to contact another board member, see if they will fill in for you. Not as important with those who have 2, but more so for those calendar, and I think co-op is the only one that just has 1, right?
Yeah,
So,
track, no, track has 2,
Yeah.
there's one of, and
Yeah.
finance.
Finance.
Yeah.
brings us to item number 7, and I just asked Jeremy to put this on. So as long as I've been on the board, this is the beginning of my 16th year. These haven't changed, and not that I want them to change, but I think it's something that we need to start thinking about. 16 years without a change at all is probably due for an increase. But just something I want you guys to kind of think about as the year goes on, like
Okay.
maybe we should be thinking about that. Every other public office has increased dramatically in 16 years, and so just something to think about.
Can that be? Is that something that can be discussed at any meeting then, going forward?
I think it'd be discussed at any meeting. We just, if we're gonna do it, we just have to say starting on such date that's implemented. I'm sure Kevin would love that if we switched in the middle of the year.
Well, I was gonna say, what would be a good, if you were
It
to
would,
switch?
it would probably be
July?
like June, right? Because that's when we do half.
It would be July 1st.
Yeah.
Okay,
July 1st or
you'd
December.
want a recommendation or something.
And it used to be on the, around June, July, August, somewhere in there, the fees
The fees, yeah.
schedule, but we kind of took all those with, because that's a lunch, that was a lunch prices, which we don't do anymore. And then some of the other pay for some of the community ed stuff, and
Yeah, and
so we kind of broke those apart. So it was on there as well each July, but I couldn't verify the 16 years, but I went back to 2013, and for sure it's been that since then, but I don't doubt that it was 16 years.
Yeah, so. All right, just something to think about. Brings us to item number 8, operating levy. Jeremy, you just want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure, our operating levy, and Kevin can fill in anything here too, but our operating levy ends at, the renewal would end at this end of this year. And so in the past, what we've been able to do is go out for a renewal, maybe an increase or decrease or whatever, but a new operating levy. Those can only be held in November, those elections. And so I want to at least get the conversation started. We don't have to decide anything for this until I think by August sometime is the final deadline date. It's nice to do it a little before that so we can get communications and things like that out there. But and you can see that on the timeline that's attached to, but I just wanted to kind of get it on the radar and start thinking about what we want to do. 2 years ago, the legislature passed a law that said the board could one-time renew operating levies. And so that the board is able to do that without an increase. You can't increase it at the board level, but and the reason behind that is I think at the time, just under 90% of school elections or operating levies were anytime it was a renewal, we're successful. So you don't have to pay the, $8,000 to $12,000 in election costs and things like that for an election that's probably got almost a 90% chance of passing. I don't think, I tried to look back too in ours and I can only go back so far, but none of our renewals have not passed here as far as back as I could go, as far as I could tell. And so, yeah, again, just wanted to get it on the radar. I think we should have some discussions about it. We work with Kevin on some of this, and then we work with Michael Holheisel, who's from RW Baird, who helps consult with some of this. So he knows greater the impact on taxpayers and businesses and things like that. He's the one that with our bond referendum, all of you were here for that, but he was the one who can set up the calculator for when you type in your address and it says how much your school income or school tax are going to go up or down. And so I'd like to bring Mike in and have some conversations with him and with Kevin and the board as well at some point for this, so we can decide what we want to do going forward.
So my suggestion is to just plan a work session either February or March where we can have Mr. Holheisel in and just talk through that. So we're all better educated on what's going on. If you guys are okay with that, then I would just ask Jeremy to reach out to him and see what his dates look like. And then bring him back to our February meeting and we'll set up a workshop time. Do that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And when did this decision need to be made on?
The official date
Yeah.
is it's in August.
Because the decision is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, the decision is, does the board just make the decision, or do we allow it to go to a public election, correct?
Correct, yep. For a renewal, there's multiple decisions that have to probably be made. Is do you want to keep it the same and do it just a straight renewal? Then you have the board approval of that and community approval. You have an increase or decrease, and then if it's an increase or decrease, it would have to go to the public for a vote. So those are all some of the decisions that we have to make in that whole process. But it looks like August 12th is the deadline for adopting a resolution for an election. But we'd like to do it sooner, just so I can communicate out and we can communicate out the information about it.
Thank you.
Not that you have to answer now, but just kind of curious, if you were to do an automatic renewal or like a vote of that, could you also then go back to the voters in November for an increase, or would that, can you do kind of a both? Renew it beforehand and then also go for a increase at that time?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yes, you could do that.
Okay.
That's what I noticed that. I mean, this is again, the law was passed a couple years ago. But that's what I've seen happen,
Districts, too. But it's a one-time.
You only do it one time for the same term of the original vote.
For the referendum. So, and right now, we actually have 2 of them there. We have one that's expiring 2025. And then one
2029.
was 2029. But you could actually approve the board, each one of those ones.
Gotcha.
Any further questions or discussions of that?
How long was the approval? The time limit for?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, same term as, and you can do them up to 10 years. The initial time, but you can, I think. I'll have to make sure I clarify this, but I think you can only do it for the same length of term as you did for the original one. So it's just a straight exact renewal of what you previously did. That's my understanding of it anyway.
Alright. So you'll contact Mr. Weisel?
Yeah,
Find some
yeah,
dates.
unless there's some dates that for sure don't work. Doesn't work for the board or whatever, but
Would you want to do it right after the board meeting ideally, or just a different work session day?
I
and
just-
just-
I don't think
Just
he,
whatever dates are available?
I know he's out the 4th through the 11th of February, and that
Yeah,
probably
okay.
falls within our date. I don't know when
For different work.
February 3rd, I guess, is our meeting, but I don't know.
And I guess if it's something that's very close to like 12, 13, 14, just email us all on that.
Okay.
So I just think the sooner we do it, the better off we are.
It's actually the 5th, Chairman.
Is he off the 5th?
Yeah, I thought he was.
Or the
off.
meeting's the 5th?
He was, yeah, that's when the meeting is.
Oh,
So it's 4th through the 11th, I think he will know.
yeah. I didn't get his March dates, but just.
Alright. That brings us to number 9, adjournment. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for. That's why they're all here, because